We are here with Ylissean. How's it going? What card games do you play? This is a Patreon episode, so go ahead and let me know what kind of card knowledge you have before we get started. I'm going to be evaluating UniVersus cards today, so let me know what you know, and then I will learn UniVersus.
Hi, my name is Ylissean. I have been playing card games for 20 plus years. I started with Yu-Gi-Oh, the whole rubber banded deck thing. Over the years, I've learned others. I dabble in Magic. I've played One Piece. I've played a couple games of Super. But this is the one that I have truly fallen in love with because I'm a big fighting game fan, but I'm not good at fighting games.
Okay.
So this gives me that experience of fighting games. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to show you the cards.
And,
Yeah,
and you're
that's
and you were saying that this game closely resembles Yu-Gi-Oh in the way that's like combo centric.
yeah. So just like Yu-Gi-Oh, you can play your entire hand, and then there are ways to add cards to your hand to just keep going and combo extenders. But unlike Yu-Gi-Oh, there are way more hard stops that are available from both you and the opponent because of how the game works. Because if you don't check well, then your turn's just over, right? Like
Right. And
that's the biggest thing.
I like this game too from what we talked about before this because it caters to Yu-Gi-Oh players too because you can play out your whole hand. It's very combo centric. There's a lot of stuff to read. There's a lot of decisions to make, right? But it's kind of like Magic too because you're like can tap mana for certain things. Like you have different foundations which are like kind of like your lands. So it's got a little bit for everybody. So I'm excited to show everybody these cards and also just show myself these cards and see if I can get it right, whether they're good or bad. So excited to get into the stuff.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get into the video. Show me the first card. We're going to be doing 5 cards today, and I'm going to see if they are good or bad. Let's go ahead and get started.
So I'm going to start with a character, and every single card I'm going to be showing you can be played in that character.
Got it.
So feel free to use that as like an analysis base. So first up, we have Younger Toguro.
All right, let's read this one. Younger Toguro. This is very small letters for me, so I might have to blow this up. But it is a 6. What is the word for it? Say it again. What's the word for that? The 6?
Difficulty,
Okay, got it.
but for characters, you don't need to worry about that. You're just wanting to know the hand size, the life, and then the abilities for the most part.
Okay, so this is a character, which means it's kind of like your Hearthstone character, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's
leader in One Piece sort of deal.
Oh, you're like your leader. Okay, so your green 6 there is your hand size, and your 32 heart is your life total. And then it's 6 and 6 on the top left and bottom right, which like don't matter because this is a leader.
Yeah, because he's always going to be on the field no matter what.
So why are they even there?
Because you can put them in your deck.
Oh, whoa! You can put your leader in your deck.
You can put other leaders into your deck.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
It's mostly a draft mechanic and an old mechanic where you can put older versions of characters on top of them, and they gain all those abilities. But like that's such an old mechanic, we don't really talk about it. But it's a legacy thing because there are retro supported formats.
It's an old thing. We don't talk about it.
It's really not relevant for this video.
Okay. Sounds good. Younger Toguro. It has a response once per turn after your attack resolves. Build it face down. Your rival builds the top card of their deck. What is building?
So when I showed you that first turn, when those foundations went down, that's called building them.
Okay.
So you're basically turning that attack face down and putting it into your staging area.
Okay. For those of you who don't know this or aren't watching this from our Patreon page where you can see all of it unedited, we went over some of the game mechanics and some of like what the numbers means before the video starts, so I'm not utterly confused. So when you build it, you're building it face down. Everything you were telling me was building face up, right?
Yes. So face downs, they still have the tap mechanic, but now they're basically just like your regular plains or an island. They're not like the Rogue's Passage example that I gave you.
Okay, got it. All right. So it's not like it's just like a land that you can play. It's a colorless land, but it's not a land with any abilities. Okay, got it.
Correct.
Okay. Enhance. Your attack gets plus X damage. X equals half the number of foundations in your stage, rounded down. Okay. How good is this leader? Your attack resolves, build it face down. So even if it's not a foundation, it gets built. And usually your attacks don't get built.
So if an attack deals damage, you have an opportunity to add it to something called momentum,
Okay.
which is basically like super meter, and you can expend that super meter to do like add damage or add speed if a card will allow you. There are other things that work with momentum, but that happens at the end of the turn. What he's saying is that after an attack is done, you flip it face down, put it into your stage, and then you continue your turn as normal. So you're basically you're clearing your card pool for one.
So it doesn't build momentum, it goes into your stage instead.
If you choose that response, yes, for one attack.
So you can either build the momentum or put it in your stage.
You can add the momentum at the end of the turn if you don't use the response. If you do use the response, it goes down immediately and you continue your turn.
Okay. So this also enhances your attack damage, where X is the number of foundations in your stage. So it does buff your stuff, but if your attack gets blocked, you don't get the added damage anyway. This is interesting.
But you still can build it face down because the attack will resolve, and like I showed you before, you can play multiple attacks on the same turn.
Right.
Not just one.
And you normally can't do that. You normally don't get to do that.
You can play as many attacks as you have in your hand.
Okay, but you normally don't get to build a card after it attacks.
Correct.
Okay. So this card kind of helps you do your checks, and it like helps you keep comboing, because as you keep comboing, it gets harder and harder to check because you have to add up all of the attackers together basically if you want to keep hitting your checks. So this card, do you have an unlimited amount of foundations?
You can have as many as you can build. And then so yes, you can have as many as you can build. Keep in mind that this also gives your opponent one too.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part. So your rival builds the top card of their deck. So it helps your opponent block you too.
Yeah, and it would also go face down because you can't tell what that card is.
Oh. Okay, so it helps you attack more, but it also helps your opponent block more, but you get the buff and they don't get the buff. So it's kind of like just net helping you. I'm going to say this card's good.
Younger Toguro is arguably the best character in the game right now.
Hey, we got it. Let's go.
So the biggest thing about Younger Toguro is that his enhance is not gated in any way. So like I showed you with progressive difficulty earlier, by building the card face down, now you're at +0 difficulty modifier again. So you're just able to play another attack for next to no issue, and you've already built a foundation. You don't care what your opponent just got. You do, like, who cares? And then because he adds uncapped damage as much as he wants, he can just keep adding damage until you can't do anything. You're just taking +6 damage hits to the face, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Because you end up like running out of blockers in your hand for the amount of damage that's going out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cards that draw in this game. So, like, why does he care, like, that you're running out of cards when he's just getting more and he's whittling you down?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, it's just, yeah, you're both getting the card face, you're both building the card, but like, it's just net gain for you. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to show you this one next because I think it'll be interesting. This is a foundation.
Okay, this is like a land for the Magic players watching. Okay, so it's like you can play the card for free basically, but you have to flip the top card of your deck to the graveyard, just to reiterate what we went over earlier that wasn't in the video, to try to see if it checks. If it does check the bottom right number, if the card that you milled was greater than or equal to the number in the top left, right, then you actually get to successfully play the card.
Yeah, so you play the big fall into your card pool.
You play the thing. If a card that you milled is greater than or equal to 2 of the bottom right blue number, then you get to successfully play the card.
Correct.
Okay. Whew! It took me, by the way, before this video started, it took me literally 10 minutes to actually understand what I just said. Okay. the big fall. It has 3 life. No. It's a 3 high block because it's red. Let's go.
Yes.
I'm getting it. All right. Enhance.
Yep.
Remove. Your rival destroys 1 ready foundation. So 1 untapped land, basically?
Yes.
Okay, got it. But remove is like when this card is removed, right?
So when you get to the enhanced step, which if we got to a full game, I would explain more to you, but for all intents and purposes, when you can use the ability, you say, I'm going to remove this card from the game. Please destroy a foundation. Ready foundation.
But you can just do that whenever you want?
During an attack.
During an attack, you get to just play this out of your hand and remove it?
No, it has to be on the stage.
So it's on the stage. When you attack, you get to just remove this.
Remove this and say you destroy ready.
Okay, so it's like an activated ability of a land, basically. Oh, this is like Wasteland.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, whoo! We're getting there. All right. What is this? Deadlock Enhance? Remove.
Yes.
Your rival destroys 2 ready foundations. What is Deadlock?
So Deadlock, so the reason why I'm showing you with younger Toguro is Deadlock is a mechanic where if your opponent has 11 or more foundations, so higher than 10, you could use that ability.
Okay. So if your opponent has higher than 10, you get to destroy 2 untapped land.
Your rival destroys 2, yes.
Well, they choose.
Yes.
Oh, ooh, that's way worse than Wasteland. Or Strip Mine or whatever. The stuff in your foundation has abilities. Your opponent gets to sacrifice whatever worst one they have. This one is a 5 check, which means you do like 5 checks in your deck. Makes your deck more consistent in the early turns. The 2 on the top left is pretty good. The 3 high block is, from what I've seen before, is like a pretty good number. The 3 plus.
Bad number.
What was that?
You want lower. You want lower numbers.
Oh, you want lower?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's adding 3 speed to your opponent's attack.
Oh, true. Okay. So this is like a bad block, especially because it's not a mid block, and mid blocks can block both high attacks and low attacks, and only high blocks can block high attacks and mid attack.
Correct. So high blocks can block high and mid, and low blocks can block low and mid. Mids can block anything.
Right. Okay. I mean, if this card was in Magic, it would be really good. But is there a way to recycle this out of your graveyard to, like, play it again? That would be, like, the breaking point for a card like this. And if there's any way to recycle this, I think it would be busted. The fact that your opponent has to destroy one of their lands is a big downside of this. Like, you can't choose the land that they destroy. Let's see. Is this a foundation? This is a foundation. So that's actually really helpful to a card like this. It literally is Wasteland. I mean, just the fact that how good Wasteland and Strip Mine are in Magic, I'm just going to say this card's good.
This card is pretty bad, actually.
Okay, yeah, because your opponent gets to choose. Like, if you got to choose, it'd be way better. Yeah, I was back and forth, but your opponent get. I didn't know how well you can recycle. Can you recycle this?
So the remove cost means it's removed from game, so it's not even going to the discard.
Oh, it exiles it. Oh, okay. I would have said this was bad then, if I knew that remove was exiling. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the biggest problem with this card is that one, your opponent chooses, and then secondly, you're basically -1 yourself for your own checks to give your opponent -1, but you're also not removing anything that they really care about because they'll just choose the face down. Like, who cares?
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah, your opponent choosing is a huge downside. I should have just thought about that for another second and asked you if remove means exile or put it in the graveyard, because I thought you could recycle this.
No. So yeah, that's the biggest problem with this card. Like, the deadlock is neat, but again, they choose 2, so it's like, who?
Yeah. Who cares?
It's not like hurting anything.
Okay, I'm gonna give myself a half point on that one because I kind of thought that it was bad because your opponent gets to actually choose the card, but I thought you could recycle this. All right, never mind. Moving on to the next card.
All right, so we're gonna go with an attack this time. This one will kind of they kind of both go into it. I'm gonna go with this one first.
Punisher's Beam. It is a 5. I'm gonna say 5 cost. It's a 5 difficulty. There we go. 2 mid
Yeah.
block, 4 high attack speed, 5 damage, 3 check. Whew. So many numbers. I got this. I'm finally getting it right after like a whole hour. Okay. We've been doing this for you watching for so long. Okay. Punisher's Beam. Enhance. Mill. Wait, mill how much? Mill 3? So you get to just choose to mill 3 in the enhance step, which is part of the attack step, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool, I'm getting it. Add 1 ranged or weapon card milled this way to your momentum. Okay. Also enhance. If this attack deals damage, destroy 1 rival foundation. Well, there's so many land hate cards in this game. I can't even read this last ability. What does the green even say? What is the green word?
It's Breaker 1, and that you can see it on the bottom. These are the keywords. So Breaker 1, ranged attack. Breaker 1 is after you block with this card, your rival's next check to play a card gets -1.
Your next check is easier?
Harder. Your rival's next check is harder.
Okay. After you block with this card, your rival's next check is... Oh, it just explained what you just explained?
Yeah.
Got it. Oh my god. I mean, I honestly just, at first glance of this card's like... The 4 speed and the up attack is good because it's hard... An up attack's good because it's harder to block. Like, so is a down attack. Like, a mid attack's, like, really easy to block. An up attack is, especially 4 speed, is, like, crazy hard to block. It has 5... It has 5 power, which is like kind of mid or whatever for like a 5 thing, I think. That has a 2 mid block on the top right, so I think that's pretty good because it can block anything and it's a 2, so it makes it a little bit harder. As we saw, the last card had a 3 up block, which is like basically really bad. If it deals damage, you destroy a foundation, which is already like if that effect was in Magic, it'll be busted. And then you can mill 3, add a ranged or weapon, mill this way to your momentum. I mean, if you play a whole ranged or weapon deck, especially because this says it's a ranged card itself, so you can add it. You can mill itself and add another copy of itself, which is like sounds pretty good. If you have a whole like a critical mass of ranged or weapon cards, then you're always plussing a card off this. I think this card is absolutely bananas busted.
This card is okay.
It's just okay. It's playable? It's playable?
It's playable. It is okay. So this card actually got outclassed by your Toguro card.
Okay.
That card, it does not have a gate to destroy one. It just says destroy 1 foundation. And unlike the Big Fall, because of the language saying destroy 1, it is telling you to do that. So you pick which one they get rid of, right?
Which is why I thought it was good.
Yeah. So in this case, because it's a damage gate, it is slightly worse than the card for the character, because that one just says do it. There's no gate, there's no restriction, you just do it.
Yeah, it's like a difference in Magic where it says between if a card says if this deals combat damage, draw a card, versus when this attacks to draw a card, the attack one's always gonna be better.
Yes, exactly. This is still a good card because there's a lot of range and weapons in the symbols that it has. So if you're going to play a ranged weapon deck, this card is like an auto include. It's really good. But if you're not caring about that stuff, just run the other card. It shares 2 of the symbols. Just do it.
And like maybe if you're not playing as many ranged or weapons, then you're most of the time not going to get a card off this. I can understand for sure.
Yeah. So because like typically the ratio for attacks foundations is 33%. You want 33% of attacks versus 66% of foundations/other.
Oh, same for Magic. So you kind of want like around 30, depending on your deck, you want around 33% and 60% spells. There's a 60 card deck, and usually you want to play around 20 to 24 lands.
Yep. So in this case, it's the reverse. You want to play more lands versus attacks.
Oh, because lands also do stuff. Like all the lands do stuff.
They all do stuff, and they have higher checks. So
right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I like this. I like this card though. If I was playing UniVersus, I'd want to play this.
Yeah, I really like this card. I tend to play ranged weapon decks, so I tend to play it, but I could see that the other deck is
All right, so
way
playable but
better.
not broken. I said it was like ultra busted bananas, but it's okay. I guess
Yeah,
we can do a half point for that one too, since I said it was busted, but it's also playable.
yeah, I'm gonna do it this way. All right.
Yeah.
Next, next one, we're gonna do another attack. This one's a bit different than the one that you've seen.
I like the art of this. Okay, so it's a 5 difficulty, 0 mid block, which is broken as far as the cards I've seen, or strike. This is a 4 low speed attack, which is good, 7 power, which is absurd, and then it's a 2 check, which is abysmal. Okay, we have. I don't know if there's 0 checks, probably not, but this 2 check is abysmal. Okay, enhance. Draw a card for each card your rival has discarded this turn. Does discarded happen for just your hand or also your field?
Discard counts only hand.
Only hand, and that includes blocking?
No,
Okay.
it has to go from hand to graveyard.
And there's cards you can play like a discard deck, like Waste Not in
Yeah.
Magic, where it's like if your opponent discards a card, you do this, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Got it. Deadlock Enhance. Your rival discards 3 cards. The thing I like about Deadlock in this hero, in this like leader, what do you call it again?
Character.
This character is that like you're probably gonna get to Deadlock like earlier than every other deck would be, because you're giving them face down mana, right? So you're gonna get to Deadlock more often.
This does have another ability in the keywords. It just doesn't explain it, and I'll explain it when.
Okay. Deadlock Enhance. Your rival discards 3 cards. So what's the other ability in the keywords?
Lower than that. So you see where it says Taunt, Weapon, Desperation 3?
Yes. What is that?
Desperation 3 is the keyword. What that says is that if your health is less than half, so in this case for younger Toguro it would be 31. No, it would be 30. Right? Yes. Because less than half. It's really weird. I don't like it.
Wait, so it has how much health does this character have? 32. So if you had 16 health or less is what you're saying?
15 or less.
Okay, so it's less than half or less, I guess. Sure. Just less than half. Got it. 15.
So that would change the difficulty, the 5 to 3 now. So now you have to play out on a 3 instead of a 5.
Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, I get it. Desperation. Okay, I get it. It's like it's like the Pokemon abilities. It's like, oh, if you have like 10 or less life, this gets more power. Like Charmander's ability or whatever. Okay. If the Pokemon people in chat, like, please let me know what that is. I forgot what it is off the top of my head. Anyway, your rival discards 3 cards on Deadlock Enhance, and then if you have less than half life, 15 or less, it's a 3 difficulty instead of 5. What is Taunt again? Or is that just like the type of card?
The white ones don't do anything. If it's colored, it has an ability.
Okay, the white ones are just like classifications. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So in this case, like if you're playing Ore Strike with Punisher Beam can add Ore Strike to Momentum. That's all it's looking for.
Got it. Okay. I feel like this card's like more of a card you don't want as many of in your deck because the check is so bad. But like if you have this card, like if you draw this card, you're gonna want to hit a foundation because you need to check the 5, but it also has desperation. So I'm gonna say this is like a late game card, and it's like a late game finisher card, and it's also the block is really good. So I think you might want to play this as a blocker, but it's and like only block with it in the early game, or like and then like save one for the late game or something. But I think this card's like a card you would always want in as the game goes longer, but in the beginning of the game you're just blocking with it. I want to say this card's like really good, but maybe you don't play 4 of it.
This card is a 3 of in decks that discard a lot. That's the best way I can put it.
So, can you play max 3 or 4 card?
4.
Yes, I got it right. Yes, you don't want to play 4.
Kind of. So this card is really good in decks that are discarding a lot, because otherwise, yes, the 0 is good, but that's still a dead card in hand. And when you're wanting to kill your opponent, you don't want a dead card in your hand. You want a card that does something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Okay.
I was like, you don't really want this card until like the game goes longer.
So the issue with that is that the game tends to end around turn 3.
Oh,
So if they're not anywhere close to deadlock, it just does nothing.
oh,
And because it's a 2-check, it's just more of a risk to run it if you're not running a deck that discards way more than just the deadlock effect.
right. So
if
okay.
you get decks where it's good, it's not a 4-0.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. So like there's cards like this in Magic where there's like dedicated discard decks, but usually you just want to play like your finisher card that you never want in your opening hand, like your 5 mana Giza or whatever. You're not gonna want. I know you don't know a lot of Magic, but it's just like a payoff card, Like you don't want to ever draw this card until like turn 5 or later. So it's like pretty good if you get it, and it's only like good in that deck, but you don't want to play max copies of it. So now with that analysis, I mean, this card is like an okay card overall, but in the deck that plays it, it's like pretty solid.
I would say it's a bad card overall because you only really want to play it in discard decks or decks that force deadlock really easily.
Right. Okay. So it's like it's a bad card overall. Like no deck wants this unless you're playing that one deck, and then that deck doesn't even want to play 4 of it. But it's pretty good in that deck.
It is pretty good in that deck. It's just because it's a 2-check, because it still needs to be a finisher. You don't want it at 4, but like 3 or 2, like perfect. That's like great.
Okay. I can get on board with what this deck card must be doing.
Yeah.
The 7 power 4 low speed, it is like pretty good.
Yeah. So because it's a 2-check, a lot of the other numbers get overtuned. Also, the Desperation 3 helps. So that's why it's a 0 block. That's why it's a 4 low for 7. Like it has higher than average stats, but as a result, it checks lower. The ability is really good if it works for you, but otherwise it's kind of iffy.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm.
Okay.
So I'm going to count it as that, and we're on to the final one.
We're going to count that as a failure. Okay. By the way, we're 2-2 right now. Okay. Adding in all of my half wins and half losses. Okay. So we're going to say we're 2-2. Do we have any believers down in the comments below? Let me know if I can get the last card correctly, or is my analysis awful and I'm going to miss the last card? Let me know down in the comments below if you're a believer or a doubter. Let's go to the last card.
Right, this is one of my favorite cards. I'm not saying it's good. That's just one of my favorites.
Oh, one of the caveat, one of the favorite cards. Oh no, that could go either way. All right, so it's a 0. It's a 0. Oh gosh, this is like nothing like I've seen before. Okay, so it's a 0. So like this always you always get to check this card. Like this card always checks, right?
If kind of. So if you do it like later into a turn, you might not. If it's like +4.
Oh yeah, you might not.
Typically,
yeah.
It's a pretty easy check.
It's a pretty easy check. It's a 6 check. That's the first 6 check I've ever seen. So this card you like really want, and this card you really want if you like have a lot of stuff that has like 5 checks and stuff. Okay, it's a 0+ low block, which is pretty good. Syndicate target. I'll read the name first. Whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, that's like one of the pet peeves I have with people. They don't read the name first. It's like, just read the name first. But the name's not even at the top. It's in the middle of the card.
Yeah. We've been complaining about that for a while. This is a new card style, and we do not like the fans are kind of iffy on where the name is specifically.
It's like I don't even figure out the name until I've seen the art and everything. It's like it might as well just not have a name. Okay.
Right.
After you play this card as a block, lose a health. 1 health?
1 health.
It's a 6
and it
check.
Can kill you.
Is it a foundation? Oh, it's a foundation.
It is foundation.
Okay, pause for dramatic effect. This card is unbelievable. Unbelievably good. That's my final answer. Okay, and the reason why, before you tell me, the reason why 0 is freaking good. I don't care what game it is, 0 is good. losing life does not matter. You're at 32 life in this deck. Losing a life, who cares? You can play 4 of this card. It's a 6-check. It's a 6-check. It means it can check like almost every card in your deck, if not every card in your deck. You don't have to use extra mana to hit your checks because this is a 6-check. You always want to have 4 of this in your deck, okay? Because you want to mill this card to check everything. Also, it's a 0 block, so that's pretty good. It doesn't add to your opponent's attack speed, and when you block it. Also, when you block this, it blocks almost everything. Yeah, it's a low block, so it doesn't block high. It doesn't block high attacks. That's fine. Your opponent doesn't have as many of those because they're worst attack. Actually, no, they're better attacks. Whatever. This is a 0 block. 0's good. 0 in the top left corner. 0's good. Losing life, also fine in card games. This card's unbelievable.
So unfortunately, you are bang on correct. This is one of the best 0 difficulties ever printed in this game, and this is the second time it's been printed.
Let's go! Did you say unfortunately I'm correct?
Yeah, I just wanted to give attention in the video.
Let's go! Believers rejoice.
So you're pretty much spot on. So like, as with all games, life is a resource. Who cares? The only one that matters is the last one. Technically, this can kill you, but then just don't play it. It's a 0 diff. Like, who cares? It's so easy to play both offensively and defensively. It's an easy flip if you need to flip things. It's an easy destroy if you need to destroy things. And then plus 0 low block is like one of the best block zones in the game. Because low blocks are pretty premium, low attacks tend to be pretty good, and the fact that it just says your low attack basically is invalidated, like, that's really good. There's another card in my hero that I thought about showing you, and it is just a vanilla, completely blank 0/6 with a +0 high block, and I think that that card's worse than this one. Like, they're on par, but like it's slightly worse.
Oh, because it's a high block.
Yeah, because the high block is really good, but low block is even better. Like, that's how good it being a +0 low block is.
That's it. I'm a UniVersus god now. I passed. If you want to be on the show, okay, just like Ylissean down here, you can join the Patreon as well. The Patreon link is down in the description below. Thank you once again, Ylissean, for being on the channel. And you get once a month, so you can, I'm more than happy to do another one of these videos next month if you want to. And we are done for today. Check us out in the next video. Thank you all for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. And as always, peace.